A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Here's what's coming up on WCNC Plus at 7 a.m.
Air traffic controllers and TSA agents have missed their first paycheck as this government shutdown continues. How it'll affect you if you plan to travel.
Plus, an announcement this morning aimed at helping South Carolina families at risk of losing their SNAP benefits. What the state is doing to keep food banks running as federal funds dry up.
Plus, new safety initiatives coming to busy school zones in Fort Mill. How state and local leaders are working to keep your student safe.
And as Halloween nears, scammers are out for your wallet.
The spooky signs to search for before you buy that costume or that ticket. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus.
All right, it's getting slow out there in the usual spots. Live look outside over towards I-77 at West Boulevard just before you hit the John Belk Freeway. Looking at current road conditions, seeing congestion pretty much build up across the area, so just allow yourself plenty of extra time. Thankfully, no major incidents to let you know of. Chris?
Today is the coldest day of the week. Lower 50s, mid 50s by tomorrow, one last round of rain, and then we're drying out, heading to Halloween in the mid 60s.
And folks, as we leave you, let's go to live pictures right now from Kingston, Jamaica, where folks there are hunkering down ahead of the strongest storm in the world right now. Hurricane Melissa. Will have much more on the storm and its impacts as we continue our coverage this morning live on WCNC Plus.
We're starting there at 7. Make sure you join us. Allow yourself extra time as you head out this morning.
Thanks for joining us here at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
We start with a breaking news update we're following this morning. We're working to find out what led up to a homicide near a light rail stop in southwest Charlotte. It happened on South Boulevard right next to the Archdale station. CMPD says they responded to a call about an assault with a deadly weapon around 6:30 last night. Officers found the victim near the Norfolk Southern train tracks. That victim was taken to the hospital where they later died. It's worth pointing out, violence in and around light rail stations has been a big topic here in the Charlotte area over the last few months after the brutal homicide of a rider back in August in South End. This is an ongoing investigation. Again, a homicide investigation near a light rail stop in southwest Charlotte, the Archdale station. Police ask if you have any information to give them a call.
7:01 now. At this hour, we're continuing to track Hurricane Melissa as it approaches Jamaica as a Category 5 storm. We're talking about winds of 175 miles per hour. This is a live look of Kingston, Jamaica. And what you're seeing, this is actually a street. Does not look like it, but you can see the impact there of just all that heavy rainfall. The island has not been directly hit by a hurricane in more than a decade, and never from a Category 5 storm.
Chris joins us right now. Chris, what time are we looking at when it comes to actual making landfall?
The landfall right now has been iffy because it's been moving so slow. So right now, you already went through the specs. It's 175 mile per hour sustained winds. By the way, 157 is the benchmark to make it a Category 5. So it's not just Cat 5. It's a strong Category 5. Very few storms have actually made landfall at this strength across the Caribbean and the United States. And it's moving north-northeast at about 5 miles per hour. So to answer Ben's question, right now doing some simple math, 38 miles per hour, if you're talking about 5 miles per hour, well, it wouldn't be until well into the afternoon that we see this. But what's happening is this is now actively starting to accelerate. That's good news. That means it's going to be flying, likely getting up to about 10 miles per hour by the end of the morning. So right now it looks between about 10 and noon is where we're going to have the landfall of this. I think a little bit closer to noon. So for our noon show, likely calling for the landfall here in the southwestern side of Jamaica. You're just looking at a camera in Kingston. So Kingston is over here. The worst of the winds are going to be on the western side of the state. You might be able to see some cameras from Montego Bay, but truly there's not a lot of cameras here in the southwestern side. This is the St. Elizabeth Parish area. That's what's going to be most impacted. And then the worst part about this is we focus on Jamaica. Well, still borderline Category 5 strength to a strong Category 4 storm. Melissa is going to make a second landfall here in eastern Cuba, and then as a strong to Category 2 hurricane, make another landfall past some of the islands here in the Bahamas. So it's actually affecting multiple islands across the Caribbean and even has a chance for some secondary impacts right around Bermuda. And that's going to keep it in the forecast well through this week, heading into the weekend, before it's going to be a subtropical low. Here's a closer look at that wind field showing that landfall right around 10 o'clock. I truly think it's a little bit closer to noon unless it really starts accelerating. By the way, the next big update from the National Hurricane Center, from all their data, there's been a lot of recons as well, is going to be at 8 o'clock. So that's where we're going to have a really better picture when this is going to make landfall and its forward momentum. Looking at some of the rainfall totals, up to about 10 to 15 inches additionally from what we have already seen. Some values are already approaching that 10-inch mark, and I think you're even going to see some of those values at 20 plus inches of rain. Notice how you have this one little swath. What that's picking up on is here would be the eye wall where you have less rain, and then the eastern side of that is going to be some of the heavier downpours that you have up to a 3 to 4 inch per hour rain rate. Those are the ones that really cause that catastrophic flash flooding. Multiple things are going to be a hazard with this. Storm surge up to about 9 to 11 feet. I've seen other values even higher than that on the western side of Jamaica, but then it's also a historic storm because now the central pressure dropped down to 901 millibars. Melissa officially passed Katrina by 1 millibar, so it's the 8th strongest storm if you're talking about barometric pressure, about how low it goes. And we even tied Katrina at 175 mile per hour peak winds. So it's the 10th strongest, the 8th deepest pressure. Boy, is this a historic storm. Meanwhile, our wave heights as this system is going to be going past, we want to see if we're going to see any secondary impacts here around the Carolinas. As of right now, not a huge deal. For our short term for us here in the forecast, I know I spent a lot of time on Melissa. We're dealing with on and off rain throughout the day. There is a chance for a heavier downpour, especially through this morning, but watch what happens. We start to clear out that rain heading into the afternoon. You still have a chance for rain, but more is just going to be a damp day and it could rain again. So most of the rain totals we have for today are during the morning hours before noon. On and off showers, still a possibility heading through the evening before we see more widespread activity into your Wednesday. I'll have your full forecast, next weather, talking a little bit more about our local weather when we clear out and dry up. Also a sneak peek what trick-or-treaters can expect for Halloween. But first, let's get over to Becca Birdsall for our first look at traffic here on WCNC Plus.
Wet and breezy conditions, as you can see. The NCDOT camera from North Charlotte actually shaking from I-77 at W.T. Harris Boulevard. That being said, though, despite the rain, despite the wet roads, there are no major slowdowns as you head out the door early. Now, we're starting to see traffic pick up pretty much across the area, so just let yourself know that you might want to leave a little bit extra early this morning. Got a couple of new crashes. This one, Montana Drive at the intersection of Cedar Drive, a little bit up towards the north Bellhaven Boulevard. A crash being reported at the intersection of Mount Holly Huntersville Road. Got a disabled vehicle, South Charlotte outbound Carmel Road at Pineville Matthews Road. It is blocking that right-hand turn lane.
Becca, thanks. 7:06 now. Today, the nation enters day 28 of the federal government shutdown. For many air traffic controllers, this week marks their first missed paycheck, even as they continue working long hours to keep flights moving. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live this morning at Charlotte Douglas Airport, explaining how this prolonged shutdown is impacting workers. Richard.
Yeah, it's impacting, we say a lot of times folks, an average American lives paycheck to paycheck. Well, if you imagine not getting one, that's what a lot of federal workers faced on Friday of last week, that first Friday that they did not receive a paycheck. Air traffic controllers mandated to come to work despite that to try to keep you safe, but they say there is a breaking point. Now, as we look at video, that's why the national, their labor union is handing out leaflets today. They say it's very important that they do this because of the fact that this is something that is needed. They need to hand out these leaflets in a number of airports, including here at Charlotte Douglas. They say they're handing out these leaflets to inform the public about the need for safety, that because of this shutdown, it is affecting them. They say they work long hours, sometimes 6 days and 10-hour shifts. That's causing fatigue. With no end in sight for them, they say missing that paycheck is vital. And a lot of them say that they're doing everything they can to try to make ends meet. We want you to hear what their organization chapter president said about their plight. Take a listen.
They're completely distracted from their duties and responsibilities of keeping the American flying public safe.
Instead of focusing on the safety of the American flying public, they're now focusing on what they can't afford to pay.
Yeah, they say that's a terrible dilemma to be in there. You might ask, what can they do? A lot of them have started calling out sick. That's causing, of course, delays when there's not enough staffing. They say this is something that is going on. Others, we're told, are actually going out and having to get a second job. And of course, if that pays the bills when the government job isn't, they're not showing up for work there. Now, you might even ask about what type of resources or someone in the pipeline, those air traffic controllers who are going to school. Well, there's a dilemma with that as well. They're getting paid while they go to school, those people who will be future air traffic controllers. But if they actually graduate and can get a job during the shutdown, they wouldn't get paid. So even those people who are graduating are now leaving. Lots of dilemmas, and all of that's going to affect folks who fly. So the best advice we can tell you, plan ahead, call your airline, make sure that your flight is on time, and good luck as we get closer and closer to the busy Thanksgiving holiday travel season.
And here's the thing. These are people who have to be laser focused on their job, right? We're talking about people guiding planes leaving and coming into airports.
That's absolutely correct. And as I said, they work an average of 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And this was before the shutdown. I was told by someone who actually monitors air traffic controllers that there are concerns about just the regular fatigue that any average air traffic controller gets. Add on the fact that you're not getting paid on top of that.
It makes you wonder if the federal government, I mean, this is a pipe dream, could step in and then say, okay, credit card companies, mortgage companies, you can't take payments from these people because not only are they accruing interest,
right.
They're going to be liable for that. Going forward, sure they're going to get paid back at some point, but all their debts are accruing, and they're not being compensated for it, which is frustrating and somewhat enraging at the same time.
For sure.
All right, Richard Devane reporting live for us there at Charlotte Douglas. Richard, thank you. Well, the government shut down now, day 28, and state officials warned that food benefits for more than 1 million folks here in North Carolina could be delayed if it continues.
NBC's Haley Hollinger shows us how people in Pitt County, that's in eastern North Carolina, and surrounding areas are working to help those impacted.
Many are asking what comes next in light of the significant risk of November food benefits being delayed due to the government shutdown.
I don't know what it would be like to be that mom, and I think about that right now, to have to go home to my children and say, we're not going to eat tonight.
The USDA also issued guidance stating it would not be using the roughly $6 billion in federal contingency funds to keep SNAP operational during November. As questions loom, those who gathered at First Christian Church on Monday are worried for the future, but also looking for solutions. After the Pitt County Department of Social Services got in contact with the interfaith clergy last Thursday, a meeting was called. Organizations and community leaders offered their spaces, vehicles, time, ideas, and money while discussing the best way to help the community moving forward.
I think it was a little bit overwhelming for a lot of people, including myself today, to see so many people come together and want to be a part of assisting our communities and what we can all bring to the table to help make that happen.
Reverend Dr. Rodney Coles said that even though they've seen solid support so far through today's meeting, it will take more people to make this outreach possible.
We're still going to need more. We put a small budget at about $12,000 to have to start to bring in some type of food every Monday. We want to start on November the 3rd. We have Boys and Girls in Club have opened the door, Jarvis Church has opened the door, another church. We need help from the community. If you can't, a monetary donation, all money will be going to United Way.
Haley Hollinger with that report there. A live look right now inside our Chevy Storm Tracker this morning, 7:12 here on WCNC Plus. You can see it is wet out there, so definitely allow yourself some extra time if you're going to be heading out this morning. Going to need that rain gear for sure. Coming up, our Becca Birdsall is going to have the latest on your morning commute right here on WCNC Plus. .14 now. You're streaming live on WCNC Plus. Just hours ago, President Trump met with Japan's first female prime minister, working to strengthen trade ties and set up a sit-down with China's leader. Meanwhile, at home, Vice President J.D. Vance is under fire as the shutdown hits week 4. NBC's Tracy Wilkins has more on how both leaders are trying to find a way forward.
President Donald Trump will be in Japan and South Korea today as he continues his 7-day trip through Asia. Topping the agenda at every stop is trade, with negotiators still ironing out the details of pacts with South Korea and Japan and taking steps toward agreements with China and Malaysia.
We're going to do tremendous trade together, I think more than ever before.
Trump met with Japan's newly elected prime minister, who is navigating the country's pledge of a tenth of Japan's economy, $550 billion to fund American projects and hopefully avoid higher tariffs.
We're just signing a new deal, and it's a very fair deal, and we look forward to welcoming Japan into the United States and a continuation. And it's something that everybody is very, very excited about.
Chinese delegations were meeting over the weekend to find a way to also avoid higher tariffs after Trump threatened a 100% increase on Chinese goods. During his upcoming meeting with President Xi, Trump said he also plans to raise the issue of fentanyl, accusing China of failing to curb its flow into the U.S. Meanwhile, back at home, Vice President J.D. Vance is preparing to meet with fellow Republicans to discuss the shutdown. The largest union representing federal workers is calling for an end, pressuring Democrats, while federal workers are feeling the brunt.
It's a lot of uncertainty. Bills continue to pile up. I have car notes, I have children to feed, I have a family to take care of, I have a mortgage to pay. So it's a lot of uncertainty.
Here at home, the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ all hit record highs on Monday, driven by optimism that President Trump and China's President Xi will strike a deal on trade when they meet in South Korea on Thursday. In Washington, Tracy Wilkins, NBC News.
$7:19 right now on WCNC Plus as we take a live look right now at the situation there in Jamaica as Hurricane Melissa takes a closer path there to the island. Just the next few hours, this video taken, this is actually live pictures that you're looking at right now of what was a street and now a river, just as we anticipate Melissa's arrival in the next few hours.
And we're going to take a look at some video from yesterday when the U.S. Air Force's weather squadron, those are the hurricane hunters, actually flew into the eye of the storm. At one point, though, they were forced to turn back because of the extreme turbulence near the eye wall. You can only imagine that. Scientists say it is not the first time that a hurricane hunter aircraft had to abort a mission, but this is rare.
That's right. Melissa forecast to be the worst storm in Jamaica's history. Let's go ahead and bring in Chris Mulcahy. He's tracking it for us this morning. Chris.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And this isn't good news. Oftentimes you will have weakening before landfall, but there is a slight chance that we could actually see for the 8 o'clock update that Melissa gets a little bit stronger. So going back to weather 2, I'm going to show you the recon that we're having. As you can see, the rain across the area, and this is really interesting. So what happens is whenever we're looking at the different sections of the storm, you can see some of the maximums that are happening around there. I think we're having some technical difficulties since we're over on weather 1 instead of weather 2. There we go. We are dealing with some sustained winds, potentially as much as 180 miles per hour. So at 170 right now, but the most recent updates that we have from the hurricane hunters showing that the strongest part of the storm, that's usually the upper quadrants, the front quadrants, especially the right one, as much as 180 mile per hour winds. And then I'm seeing some pressure levels down around that 903 mark. So we'll see what the newest update comes to, but that's not what you like to see. So there is a chance that once we get a new update here in the next 40 minutes, that it is indeed going to say that, wow, this thing got a little bit stronger. So it just keeps on getting worse as it's drawing closer and closer to Jamaica. And a closer look at what's happening right now. The current specs that we had at 5 a.m., 175 mile per hour winds. It's barely moving, but it is starting to kick into high gear. 175 mile per hour winds, gusts actually up in over 200 miles per hour. And that central pressure at 901, that is staggering. There's only been a select few storms, only 6 in the history since we've been keeping track of all of this, really since the mid 1900s, that we've had a storm this strong, where it was Allen 899, Milton is 897. That was just last year. Well, 901 still beat out Katrina, really showing the level and the magnitude about how strong this storm is. So what the general track is showing, that I would say really anywhere between about 10 a.m. and about noon, this is going to be making landfall just in the southwestern side of Jamaica. And then as we get a little bit closer to the overnight, I would say late evening to the early morning hours, its second landfall is going to happen in the eastern side of Cuba, and then the southern parts of the Bahamas is where we still have a Category 2 storm that's going to be sitting over there. The silver lining, the good news that we have here is it is really starting to kick into high gear, and it's starting to get a lot faster moving forward instead of this slow movement that we've been dealing with in the meantime. Maximum wind gusts so far, not too bad considering 59 miles per hour around Kingston, Montego Bay at 56, but that area of pink, I don't see any wind readings there. I have no active data to really show. Those are likely gusts that are up and over 70 to 75 miles per hour. So strong tropical storm to near hurricane strength. So we'll continue to see the development of this. Looking at this model, you can see that the winds make a absolute landfall around 10 o'clock. So that's about 10:30 to 11 o'clock. And then it's going to be racing at that point. So that means by the early to mid afternoon, it's exiting out the other side around Montego Bay, still as a Category 5 storm. So that's the whole western side of the state that's going to have a possibility of that. Meanwhile, closer to home, we're dealing with on and off rain. Through the course of today, I don't think you really see too much leading up to Wednesday morning, anywhere from up to a 10 to maybe a quarter of an inch maximum, but you really start to see these rain totals spread across the area as we work our way into your Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And then that's also going to bring our temperatures down. Check this out. We are looking at a big chill down to 38 degrees on Saturday. That officially is the first day of November. As for All Hallows Eve, Halloween will have a high of 64. Saturday at the same temperature for El Dia de los Muertos as we head into the weekend. And that sunshine will help us, but boy, are we certainly below normal. Last Halloween, we had a high of 80 degrees. This time, it's about 15 to 16 degrees cooler. That means trick-or-treaters likely going to be gathering their favorite candies in the upper 50s. So parents, note, maybe you want to try to warm up that costume. Let's get right over to Becca. It's been an up and down morning. Let's see what direction we're headed right now.
Right now, I am following a new crash. This is going to be over towards the Huntersville area. It's being reported on I-77 northbound near Samford Road. So you can see that stretch of delays there. Stop and go traffic can be expected. At least one lane of traffic is blocked off. Definitely a morning to hop on the toll road. Still looking at congestion over towards South Charlotte, especially coming from York inbound into Mecklenburg County on 77 northbound. But a couple of new things also happening. This is going to be Mallard Creek Road south Southbound 2 lanes currently blocked at I-485 due to a hazard there. In addition, we still have this one. This is on Stitt Road. Crash being reported in the intersection of Eastway Drive. Right now, drive times Matthews to Uptown on Independence will take 28 minutes, Salisbury 52, Waxhaw 39, and Belmont 24 minutes.
All right, there it is. You can barely see the Queen City right now because we have active rain. Not a great start to the day whatsoever. Yesterday morning was definitely better. Expect on and off rain. At times, it will be moderate to heavy pockets of rain. By the afternoon, things do get a little bit better. Check it out. Rain's starting to thin out ever so slightly. Get my head out of the way. Mid to late afternoon, things are shaping up to be a little bit drier, but still all in all, a damp and cloudy day. Temperatures don't really move much just because we have no sunshine reaching us. Chance for isolated rain showers during the afternoon. Temperatures where they are right now, 50 degrees. Well, they're only going to be up to about 51 a few hours from now. Charlotte FC goers, maybe bring a towel to dry those seats because that rain is continuing with temperatures right around that 50-degree point. 70 forecast brought to you by the Jerry Hunt Supercenter. We are drying out. Sunshine returns on Thursday. A great Halloween ahead. Becca, take it away.
And right now I am tracking a new crash. This is over towards the Huntersville area, I-77 northbound near Samford Road. One lane of traffic is blocked off on the general purpose lane. So you can see how slow moving it is. Definitely a morning to hop on the toll. Looking a little bit congested, 77 northbound, also over towards 85 northbound in Gastonia. Also do still have this active crash. This is on Mallard Creek Road, southbound 2 lanes blocked at I-485.
for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. We continue to follow some breaking news, working to find out what led up to a homicide near a light rail stop in southwest Charlotte. It happened on South Boulevard right next to the Archdale station. CMPD says they responded to a call about an assault with a deadly weapon around 6:30 last night. Officers found the victim shot to death near the Norfolk Southern train tracks. That victim was taken to the hospital where they died. Violence around the light rail has come under intense scrutiny recently after the brutal killing of Irina Zaruska in August. This is an ongoing investigation. Police have not updated us about a possible suspect yet in this case. If you have any information, you're asked to contact officers.
The other story that, of course, we continue to track, Hurricane Melissa as it approaches Jamaica. This is a Category 5 storm. We're talking about sustained winds of 175 miles per hour. In about a half hour, we're going to get some new information from the National Hurricane Center. This is a live look right now of Kingston, Jamaica. The island hasn't been directly hit by a hurricane in more than a decade, and never from a Category 5 storm. So you can only imagine what the preparation is like there, what many people are thinking about considering the storm expected to make landfall in just a few hours there. Chris, I know you've been tracking this all morning, saying the storm has sped up a little bit, but it's also growing.
It's still growing, and that's the worst part that I have. Now, the highest mountains are on the eastern side, closer to Kingston. And Kingston, their only saving grace is they're going to be dealing with more tropical storm force winds compared to the hurricane force winds. That's one of the biggest misconceptions for hurricanes, that it's often right around the eye wall that we have the strongest winds, because that's where you have the tightest circulation. So what I'm showing you right here is something different. I've actually jacked up the elevation, showing you what exactly from ground level, what it looks like around Jamaica. Jamaica actually has some mountaintops that are just as high as the Blue Ridge Mountains. So put in that perspective, 5,000 to 7,000 feet is what they get up to. Now, the highest points are further off towards the east. And why this is important is because the amount of rain that we're going to see around the eye wall is going to be staggering. But as you go up in elevation, there is less friction. So what that means is the winds move faster. So that means realistically, because we're already looking at a potential for gusts up to 215 miles per hour, some of these mountaintops are going to be gusting well over 200 miles per hour. What does that do? That takes down a tremendous amount of trees. With all the rain, the amount of mudslides here is going to be one of the biggest dangers. So watch what happens as we roll a little bit closer. As of right now, it's showing a landfall closer to around 10 o'clock as things are starting to speed up. At that point, you're looking at hurricane force winds across the mountains. That was one of the biggest downfalls that we had from Helene. Helene was actually a tropical storm once it reached the Carolinas, but because of the amount of rain, especially the precursor event they've been dealing with, because even though Melissa's been well down to the south, they're still getting rain from the outer bands. As what you're seeing here is it's going to climb over elevation. Now, oftentimes storms like this can be weakened as they go across, but then since Melissa's going to move so fast, it's not really going to happen too much. So let's move a little bit further. By about 1 o'clock, so the early afternoon, we're still looking at a really strong eye wall coming out the other side right around Montego Bay. There are two sides of the storm. The right side is technically known as the dirty side because the direction it's traveling and also the way the winds are circulating, that counterclockwise rotation can be the strongest, up to about 10 to 30 miles per hour, just depending on how fast it's moving forward. At this point, you're still seeing active hurricane force winds across the western side of the Isle. Things starting to calm down to about tropical storm force by this evening. So what you're really calculating here is at least 6 to 8 hours of at least hurricane force winds. And I think that once we have that initial landfall right here, to the right side, right east of the Black River, that's where you're going to have some of those wind gusts up to about 175 miles per hour. And the most recent updates that I've had from the National Hurricane Center and some of the reconnaissance that comes from the airplanes, up to 180 miles per hour. So there's a chance that this storm could even climb leaps and bounds for one last update, reaching its max strength right as it's making landfall. I've been saying this over the last few days, even on Friday, that every update, it gets worse and worse. So that means if it gets up to 180 miles per hour, it would match the strengths of Milton, Irma, Rita, and Mitch. And Irma, historically, Barbuda is what it hit. It actually knocked out 95% of the homes. So a lot of the infrastructure on the western side of Jamaica, there's going to be some spots that are going to be completely wiped out. I hope a lot of people were able to evacuate inland, but the problem is what I was just showing you. If you go inland, you're actually going up where the winds are going to be worse. This is honestly heartbreaking when I have a forecast like this, just because, yes, this is Jamaica. We live here in America, but how many of us have been to Jamaica? How many of us have loved the people of Jamaica? Now, they're one of the more resilient and optimistic people, so our hearts and prayers go out to them. But if you're talking about one of the worst case scenarios that's happening, it's happening right now. Now, the western side of Jamaica does have a lower population, but it's still something that's breaking my meteorological heart. It is an absolute terrible situation that there's going to be some parts of Jamaica here in the next 12 hours that once the storm lifts through are not going to be the same. So again, our hearts go out to them. I'm going to wrap this up, bring us back home, 7-day forecast. It's going to be on and off rain through the morning heading into the afternoon. I think it's a better chance for our last hurrah for the heaviest rain late day on Wednesday night, heading to Thursday. And the sunshine comes out and we'll have a clear day, sunshine for your Halloween, and lower to the mid 60s as we fall back through the weekend, back close to the upper 60s where we should be next Monday. All right, so we're going to close that book. Let's get right over to traffic with Becca Birdsall.
All right, it's a rush hour commute out there. Live look outside over towards Southern and Mecklenburg County, I-77 at Arrowwood, and it is jam-packed on those northbound lanes, looking a lot better on the southbound lane. So if you are traveling southbound, you are good to go. In addition, further south over towards South Carolina, 77 at Gold Hill Road, also jam-packed with traffic. So we got pretty much red all over the area. Allow yourself a lot of time as you head outdoors, as not only is we're dealing with just the rush hour commute, but we also do have wet roads out there. Couple of crashes, including this one, Montana Drive at Cedar Drive, crash being reported there. And then Bellhaven Boulevard, got a crash being reported at the intersection of Mount Holly Huntersville Road. Still have this disabled vehicle outbound Carmel Road at Pineville Matthews Road that is blocking that right-hand turn lane there. Drive times right now, Matthews Steptown 31 minutes, Salisbury 55, Waxhaw 39, and Belmont 24 minutes, guys.
Becca, thanks. 7:37 now. If you have ever been stuck in those long school drop-off lines around Fort Mill, some relief could be on the way.
WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Richards joins us live here in studio, breaking down the plan to make those morning commutes a little smoother and a lot safer. Destiny.
That's right. After months of traffic troubles and safety concerns, Fort Mill is getting new traffic signals around schools. It's part of a plan local and state leaders hope will improve safety. The town of Fort Mill is working with the school district, state lawmakers, and SCDOT to address traffic near schools. This comes after a recent state attorney general opinion limited who can direct traffic, making it harder for schools to use their own crossing guards. Now the state has approved a temporary traffic light for 2 years at Catawba Ridge High School and another near Doby's Bridge Elementary. Before school started, the district had already warned that new signals could be needed to keep students safe.
Whether that's, having law enforcement direct traffic or additional traffic signal lights, those kinds of things, that's been an ongoing process for over a year now. We have had an accident that involved a traffic guard in the area of Fort Mill Elementary and Middle School. So we had already been petitioning for some of these changes to take place.
The district and town say they'll keep working with state leaders and SCDOT on long-term solutions, including a possible law that would let trained crossing guards direct traffic outside school zones. Ben.
Thanks. 7:38 right now after years of delays. I mean, we've been talking about this for years now. Construction finally about to begin on a new pedestrian bridge connecting uptown Charlotte to South End. Known as the Rail Trail Bridge, the project will span I-277, give walkers, cyclists a safer, more direct route between the two busy neighborhoods. City leaders and community partners celebrating the start of construction with a press conference later this morning. They say the bridge will be a major step towards connecting Charlotte's urban core. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
7:41 now, and right now in Paris, we're learning new details about the Louvre heist and the hunt for the remaining thieves. It is the crime that everyone has been talking about on social media. The entire theft took just about 7 minutes, and more than $100 million worth of jewels were stolen.
NBC's Raf Sanchez tells us what investigators are now discovering as the search for the jewels continue.
We're learning dramatic new details about the arrest of 2 suspects in the Louvre jewel heist. Both men are in their early 30s and have criminal records for jewelry theft. One arrested at Paris's Charles de Gaulle airport just 40 minutes before his flight to Algeria was due to take off. That's according to Chief Brigadier Axel Ronds, a police official and union rep. We're dealing with experienced criminals who are known to the police and the justice system, he says, adding, there are more than 150 police officers working tirelessly 24 hours a day to recover the jewels. He told us officers from an elite unit tracked the suspects for several days after matching DNA left at the Louvre crime scene to a police database. Somewhere inside of this vast police headquarters is an interrogation room where the suspects are being questioned by detectives. Under French law, they can be held without charge until Wednesday evening. But officials say at least 2 gang members and possibly a wider network are still at large. And so far, no sign of the stolen treasures.
Are you confident you'll find the jewels before the gang chops them up?
Unfortunately, in these investigations, we often find the perpetrators, but only some of the stolen items.
But that official also says it's encouraging the arrests were made here in Paris because it suggests the treasures may still be in the city.
Raf Sanchez with that report. I tell you what, I saw an interview with the director of the Louvre, and she indicated that since the building is so old and historic,
Yes,
that retrofitting it with certain security measures is not the easiest thing.
Right.
But if the alternative is losing hundreds of millions
of dollars
of jewels, then
and here's the thing. I mean, you know, the Louvre is so massive, like it is huge. So you're talking about an enormous just square footage to be able to secure. There's even been conversations about moving some of the items there to other museums across the world. But this one is, I mean, everybody's talking about it. Unbelievable that this happened.
Because you've got some of, I mean, not that these jewels are not important, but slightly obscure to the average person, but you have things like the Mona Lisa and Nike.
Milo's there, yeah.
Like you've got some really important pieces of art.
Treasures, yeah.
All right, keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're back after this. 7:46 right now on WCNC Plus, and we continue to track Hurricane Melissa. We're going to show you just how quickly these devastating floods can happen. This is a live look from Flatbridge, Jamaica. Believe it or not, there's actual bridge under that water you see that you're looking at right now. But our team went back and turned back the clock to show you just 14 hours ago what it looked like. So take a look. Here it is. This is at 6 p.m. So you can actually see that there was a bridge there. It's dark, but there's a bridge there. You can see it's a normal looking small bridge.
Clear to see, yes.
And then here it is at 2 a.m. We got video of that. You can see the water starting to crest as it pushes up against the bridge. And then 2 hours later at 4 a.m., it's now coming over top of the bridge. And then here's the difference just 12 hours apart, where it's now a fully flooded area there on the upper right-hand side of your screen. It's almost like rapids at this point. And worth noting, it's not made landfall yet.
That's the thing. And then I think it was the 2 a.m. hour, we saw an actual person kind of walking near the bridge there. Wouldn't be able to do that now.
No, wouldn't be able to do it. Dangerous waters there. In Florida, volunteers busy preparing care packages to send to Jamaica and other islands there in the Caribbean. The kits include toothpaste, shampoo, non-perishable food, items to last people affected by a storm for a few days. The organization Global Empowerment Mission is based in South Florida and responds to disasters across the globe, much like the Billy Graham Rapid Response Team does here in the Charlotte area. Hundreds of survival kits will load onto a plane as soon as the storm passes.
So we are beginning mobilization efforts here with supplies, getting ready for those shipments to be on island within the first 24 hours to support those in need. Well, each box helps a family for 2 to 3 days. Family necessity items, non-perishable items, socks, hygiene items, hydration items, non-perishable foods to help a family 2 to 3 days.
Officials from Global Empowerment Mission say the plan is to deliver 50,000 pounds of aid.
Meanwhile, one woman plans to ride out the storm from her apartment in Kingston. Michelle Robinson says that she is leaving, and it's not an option due to her commitments and her responsibilities in Jamaica, but she does have emergency plans in place. Take a listen.
My plan is to stay inside and just be prepared as much as possible. If we need to evacuate, there are different shelters that we can go to, but we're in our area is not considered to be a high risk area for any surge or any flooding. So we think that we're okay where we are. So we're just going to ride it out as best that we can. We have water, we have backup batteries, we have filled up tubs of water, we have drinking water, we have non-perishable foods. So we're doing the very best that we can at this time.
I mean, it's important to be prepared, but here's the thing. You really just don't know. We're talking about a strong Category 5 storm, sustained winds 175 miles per hour. And Chris, as you said, the storm is still growing and it still has not made landfall.
The good news is, so Kingston is over here, and the worst of the winds are on the western side of the state. So if a lot of people evacuated western Jamaica, that's still hundreds of thousands of people, don't get me wrong. But the further east you go, the less winds are going to be. But meanwhile, if you focus in here, that's a frightening eye wall, isn't it? Look at that. That is frightening, because right around here, that's where you have the 175 mile per hour winds. It's really a small sliver. So this little small sliver, depending where it wobbles and ends up, right around here, just around Black River, that's where you could have the most damage. That's where you can almost have scorched earth as a possibility. 32 miles away. The newest update actually just dropped. 8 a.m. advisory coming out early, moving north-northeast at 7 miles per hour. Still seeing the same pressure. Some of these values could still change. But yeah, 7 miles per hour. So it has picked up speed a little bit. So that's keeping us at least within the next 4 hours that this is going to be making landfall. So that 10 to noon that I was saying still looks like that's going to be intact. But it's right around here that we have the hurricane force winds, the really strong ones, so the western side of Jamaica. And just look what this has been doing. Oftentimes the eye wall will close in. It has been clear for so long. That doesn't allow any weakening whatsoever. It actually has expanded ever so slightly. It just shows the pure power of this storm. absolutely staggering. 55 miles south-southeast of Negril, I believe is how you say that one. So, wow, this just is a horrible situation. Measurement I gave is about 14-mile eye wall. Meanwhile, heading back to home, whatever we have for rain today has nothing to do with the system that we're looking down towards the south. This is a separate low pressure system that's still allowing for some troughs, and low pressure system across the area. A lot of light to moderate rain, but there is a band of heavier rain that's been pretty persistent. So some areas getting a lot more rain than others. Meanwhile, most of Union County is pretty dormant so far. Puddle Ducky helped me out with the rain totals from yesterday. High five, buddy. We have 1.14 inches of rain that fell yesterday alone. Meanwhile, the first 26 days, you removed the one, only had 0.14 of an inch. So we really made up for some lost time. We need more rain, and luckily we will have that on and off for the next couple of days. Seeing an active radar overall, and I think the most active part of the day is really now up until about 1 o'clock. After that, we really start to dial things back. Charlotte FC, make sure to bring your towel to drive off your seat, and then temperatures down into the upper 40s. We're right now at around anywhere from 48 to 50 degrees across much of the greater Charlotte area. Not really changing too much heading into the evening. So real quick, looking at that on and off rain, getting a little bit lighter before it will start to reintroduce itself. Coming up, I'll have a little bit more on the update for what's happening with Melissa, as well as your 7-day forecast to start off the next hour. See you soon. Let's get it right over to Becca for traffic up.
Got a new crash that I'm following. This is on I-77 southbound in between the Brookshire Freeway and Atondo Avenue. So this is impacting those southbound lanes, and it is very breezy. So the camera is shaking just a little bit. You can see the right-hand lane is blocked. That is either 1 or 2 lanes. So traffic is slowly getting by, but this is causing quite the stretch of delays, especially if you are trying to get from North Charlotte all the way towards the Uptown area. So here is where it is on the map. Again, I-77 southbound, right near the Brookshire Freeway. In between that and I'd say about Atondo Avenue, do expect delays all the way to about that intersection at I-85. Seeing lots of red, especially 77 northbound in South Charlotte. Also the inner and outer loops over towards the Matthews and Mid-Hill area. Drive safe, y'all.
Becca, thanks so much. Check this out. While you were sleeping, one of the longest World Series games ever was happening in Los Angeles. Now, that game started at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It wrapped up at 3 a.m. Freddie Freeman broke a deadlock 5-5 tie with a home run in the 18th inning, giving the Dodgers the win in Game 3 of the World Series. The previous longest World Series game also happened at Dodger Stadium. I think Chris remembers this. It was about 7 years ago when they beat the Red Sox in an 18-inning game. It was Game 3 as well. It was back in 2018. Here's the thing about this current World Series. Both of the teams have to get some rest today, and guess what? Do it all over again tonight. Game 4 tonight starts at 8 o'clock.
It's 2 baseball games.
But it's 2 baseball games. You're right.
No, and the story that I had is I just recently started this job, Red Sox in the World Series. I was like, oh, okay, I'll stay up for the game.
Yeah.
And then it was the 10th inning, the 11th inning. And then eventually it got so late, I just drove into work. And as soon as I pulled into WCNC, I heard on the radio the home run. So I was just like, why did I stay up? I'm never doing that ever again.
Why does it take so long compared to a normal baseball game?
I don't know.
Because they're tied, and I guess nobody's
Some
right now.
really good teams who are both fighting for it. But
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Live pictures right now over the situation we face as you head out the door. A rainy, cold morning. That's right. We've got another check your forecast in your morning commute coming your way right here on WCNC Plus.
It's not a pretty start to the day, just being honest with you. Look at that. We have some very heavy rain that's right around Mooresville over to Huntersville. Still some light to moderate rain down towards the south. Here's another look at that map. It's 49 degrees, so we were at 50, came down to 49. Welcome to the day. I think we're going to fluctuate anywhere from about 49 to 51 degrees through the day. Looking like this. Not really a motivational one. So the Napometer is definitely at a high. If you are going to the Charlotte FC playoff game, let's get a W. No sunshine. No sunshine. You're going to see some on and off showers. I think we have less rain for the latter part of the afternoon heading into the evening, so not too bad. Our extended forecast showing that we are drying out, clearing out for sunshine on Thursday. Sunny skies for Halloween just in time to end the month. Becca, take it away. We got a lot going on.
19 active incidents across the greater Charlotte area, including this one. This is going to be the big one. I-77 southbound. This is in between the Brookshire Freeway and Atondo Avenue. It does appear that the right-hand shoulder, along with one lane of traffic, is currently blocked off. So you can imagine what that is doing to traffic. We've got backups again on 77 southbound, basically from 85 all the way to the Brookshire Freeway. Definitely want to seek an alternate route. Lots of red out there. Allow yourself plenty of extra time as you hit the roads. Another crash being reported northbound South Tryon Street at 77.
Thanks for joining us live streaming right now on WCNC Plus at 8 a.m. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
We continue to follow breaking news here. We're working to find out what led up to a homicide. Somebody was shot to death near a light rail stop in southwest Charlotte. It happened on South Boulevard right next to the Archdale station. CMPD says they responded to a call about an assault with a deadly weapon around 6:30 last night. Officers found the victim near the Norfolk Southern train tracks. That victim taken to the hospital where they later died. As you probably know, violence around the light rail has come under intense scrutiny after the brutal killing of Irina Zarutska in August. We should say this happened next to the light rail, not actually on light rail Cat's property. It is an ongoing investigation. No word yet on any suspects in the case. You can imagine police officers probably reviewing surveillance video from nearby security cameras there. Police ask if you know anything, though, please contact them. In Iredell County, a man now behind bars facing several charges following an assault over the weekend. Deputies say 35-year-old Joshua Orner had assaulted a woman, and when they tried to place him under arrest, he ran. They tell us he then assaulted the deputies before being taken into custody. Orner is now being held without bond.
A North Carolina Capitol police officer facing charges accused of firing a gun at someone. Court documents show 56-year-old Stephen Stell of Raleigh fired a pistol into the ground in the direction of someone and made death threats. This happened over the weekend at an RV park in Ohio. Deputies say he showed signs of intoxication when he was arrested. Now let's check back in with Chris now. You've been doing double duty. You've been tracking Melissa, of course, heading toward Jamaica, but you've also been keeping a track of the rain in our area. You say not as much rain today, but still a very dreary, gloomy Tuesday.
Yeah, and I should, I guess, build on that. Actually, look at that. I was like, what do you mean not as much rain as yesterday? Well, the morning looks to still be wet, but then as we are working our way through the day, it's not as much rain as a total, but then also for the afternoon. So right now, I would say now up until noon, that's going to be the wettest period for the rest of the day. We can also maybe add a couple hours into the early afternoon, but realistically, we start to thin things out. It's still a cloudy day. Do not get me wrong. Temperatures are not fantastic today. They are not really moving whatsoever. So right now we're dealing with a little bit of light to moderate rain, not really too much happening around the 485 loop. Much heavier rain totals, seeing up to about a 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch per hour coming with some of these bands. This is where we're dealing with some of the heaviest rain in the near term, and it's not really moving all that much, just kind of just building on itself, general pushing its way off towards the north and then kind of sinking in. So that means that we are going to allow for a little bit of drier air start to work in. That's why I'm calling for a little less rain all in all heading into the afternoon. Here's a better look at that. Once you get to about noon to the early afternoon, seeing less rain here on the coverage. Now, you're still going to have rain. Don't get me wrong. Still keep the umbrella handy. I think this is a perfect rain jacket scenario. But then by the end of the afternoon, we're really taking a big step back. But a day like today, because the clouds are still low or so low, that's going to allow that mist and drizzle to still linger here and there. So it's not a pretty day whatsoever. That's also another good reason why we're going to be either side of 50 degrees, a few on and off showers through the evening, and then heading into tomorrow, I think that we're still pretty damp to start off the day. The roads are still going to be wet because we don't have any sunshine to dry them out. And then by the afternoon, we're starting to span in more showers, even a chance for a thunderstorm associated with this. Outside chance. I'm talking about low chance for that. And then once you get to your Thursday morning, we're clearing things out, but we're still staying windy at this point. Becca's had a lot of cameras that have been bouncing around already. Some wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour is what we've had for the morning. I think you can do that again for the afternoon. More isolated showers, as I was mentioning. Charlotte FC taking on New York City for game 1 of their playoff series. Still a chance for rain at that point. Bring a towel to maybe dry off your seat with intermittent showers throughout that time. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, keep the temperatures in the lower to the mid 60s starting on Thursday, and that's where the sun will come back out. Should have a much sunnier day for Halloween. That means trick-or-treating in the 50s. And by the weekend, check out Saturday. I'm going to pop in here real quick. 38 degrees, and then we have the lower 40s on Sunday. Should be back to normal in the upper 60s next Monday. Today, the coolest by far. Temperatures barely moving. Let's get right over to Becca Birdsall with traffic. It is a terrible Tuesday.
Terrible Tuesday. We've got a big traffic jam setting up over that crash that I mentioned that was on I-77 southbound near the Brookshire Freeway. This is a different camera showing the backups from that crash that is blocking not only the right shoulder, but also one lane of traffic. So you can see traffic slowly getting by. But I'm also looking at another crash. This is over towards the Gaston County area, I-85 southbound right near Belmont. And this unfortunately has 2 lanes of traffic blocked off. We do have emergency vehicles on the scene, not impacting those northbound lanes that are still very slow, but do keep that in mind. Only 1 lane of traffic open on I-85 southbound near Belmont. So you can see traffic map. Well, we've got more red out there than green. So if you have any errands to run, you may want to do that probably after 9 o'clock. Another crash. This is northbound South Tryon Street at 77. Does look like a little bit of a fender bender there, and it is blocking that right-hand shoulder.
Today, the nation enters day 28 of the government shutdown. For many air traffic controllers, this week marks their first missed paycheck, even as they continue working long hours to keep flights moving. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live this morning at Charlotte Douglas Airport, explaining how this prolonged shutdown is impacting workers. Richard.
Yeah, this is pushing a lot of them to the brink. It's actually 4 days ago, Friday, was that first time since the shutdown where they did not receive their paychecks. And a lot of air traffic controllers and even TSA agents are struggling. Now, as we take a look at video, we can tell you that's why the union for the air traffic controllers is going around 20 different airports in the country today. They'll be handing out some informational leaflets from the National Air Traffic Association, Controllers Association, to let folks know that they say the goal is to educate the public on the safety risks and the growing strain on the national airspace system as the shutdown continues. Even as paychecks stop, controllers are still required to work mandatory overtime, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. During the last shutdown, many had to take a second job just to cover their bills. Now the union says stress and fatigue are once again mounting. The union warns that this shutdown is worsening an already critically staffing shortage, leading to more ground stops and flight delays, which have been building for weeks, more than 30,000 last week alone. While some are weather related, the DOT says up to 53% of them have been shutdown related. As to some air controllers calling out sick in protest or taking second jobs to try to feed their families. Take a listen.
They're completely distracted from their duties and responsibilities of keeping the American flying public safe.
Instead of focusing on the safety of the American flying public, they're now focusing on what they can't afford to pay.
And we have heard stories of at least 2 airports that have actually had folks donate food supplies and things like that in Utah and another airport where some of the workers, TSA workers or air traffic controllers, can come by and pick up some groceries. We have also heard of certain TSA workers who've actually been forced to go to things like soup kitchens or pantries in order to make ends meet. A dire situation that is going to get even more so and could affect more travelers the closer we get to the Thanksgiving travel period. We're right here at Charlotte Douglas. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Here's the thing, is that if you are a federal worker of any sort,
right?
I think there's a certain amount of pride that comes along with that, and even maybe a little bit of sacrifice. And I think there's a good faith effort by some of these workers to be like, you know what, I'm going to do this because I'm a federal worker and I care.
Right.
At some point, though, it feels like their good faith effort is being abused. And we're expecting a lot out of these people by expecting them to continue to work these long hours and not pay them. And what started maybe as a good faith effort on their part now just seems like they're being run over.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
I just think about, you know how teachers will say about students, you know, your child can't really learn if they're hungry, right? If there's something underlying.
Right.
You're talking about adults, people who have this job to do, but you are distracted because you're thinking about, I have bills to pay. I have kids perhaps to feed, a mortgage, I have car notes, other bills that are pressing, but yet I need to be focused on my job that I'm going to every day, and I'm not getting a paycheck to make those things happen. Just something to think about.
You just have to think about if it was us. If it was us, anybody, anyone out there, not trying to be funny, anyone out there under the same circumstances, how well would you do your job?
Right.
Or would you even do your job?
Right.
That's fair.
Especially now that we're in day 28. It's a big ask.
When you don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah, that's a big ask of it.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not fair. All right, Richard Devane reporting live for us at Charlotte Douglas. Richard, thank you. Well, as we mentioned, the government shutdown now entering day 28. Nobody knows that better than some of those workers. State officials warned that food benefits for more than 1 million North Carolinians could be delayed if it continues.
NBC's Haley Hollinger shows us how people in Pitt County, that's eastern North Carolina, and the surrounding areas are working to help those impacted.
Many are asking what comes next in light of the significant risk of November food benefits being delayed due to the government shutdown.
I don't know what it would be like to be that mom, and I think about that right now, to have to go home to my children and say, we're not going to eat tonight.
The USDA also issued guidance stating it would not be using the roughly $6 billion in federal contingency funds to keep SNAP operational during November. As questions loom, those who gathered at First Christian Church on Monday are worried for the future, but also looking for solutions. After the Pitt County Department of Social Services got in contact with the interfaith clergy last Thursday, a meeting was called. Organizations and community leaders offered their spaces, vehicles, time, ideas, and money while discussing the best way to help the community moving forward.
So, I think it was a little bit overwhelming for a lot of people, including myself today, to see so many people come together and want to be a part of assisting our communities and what we can all bring to the table to help make that happen.
Reverend Dr. Rodney Coles said that even though they've seen solid support so far through today's meeting, it will take more people to make this outreach possible.
We're still going to need more. We put a small budget at about $12,000 to start bringing some type of food every Monday. We want to start on November the 3rd. We have Boys and Girls in Club have opened the door, Jarvis Church has opened the door, another church. We need help from the community. If you can't, a monetary donation, all money will be going to United Way.
Haley Hollinger with that report. This morning, Charlotte City officials are warning about a new email scam. Scammers are sending fake messages that look like they're coming from the city's Planning, Design and Development Department, asking rezoning applicants to wire money using a fraudulent invoice. The city says these emails are not legitimate and the staff would never ask for payments to be wired. As we go to break, here is an exclusive deal for our viewers.
Hi, you know me, always trying to save you money, and food prices are so high right now. I'm looking for solutions for you to eat at home, which costs you less than eating at restaurants, which the prices have really exploded. That's why I like this product. It's the Cook and Repeat Indoor Smoke-Free Electric Grill. Indoor, you set your own temperature right over here. It's smoke-free because you pour a layer of water into that tray right there. That's what keeps the smoke out. You have the grill rack, you have the fry pan. I mean, I'm gonna use the fry pan for this test because, frankly, I like my burgers. And by the way, it's nonstick. I like the fat to stay in them. And I have some hot dogs here. You can see there's room for a lot more too. You could have more burgers, more hot dogs. You can fry an egg on here too. So, oh, by the way, it comes with these two. Wait until you see what these do. But let's let these cook. Okay, the burger is ready. The meat thermometer says so. By the way, they also make a meat thermometer. 30% off the meat thermometer today. So this electric grill, take a look at all this. This is normally $199.97. Today it's $119.99. That is 40% off. How cool is that? And you also get these right here. For this, you can take your burger, right? Put cheese onto it, stick it in here, and melt the cheese without cooking the burger anymore. Check it out. I even loaned it to a friend who loves grilling. He tried it out. Perfect fit to melt the cheese. Scan the QR code or go to shoptvdeals.com.
October is National Liver and Liver Cancer Awareness Month, and millions of people in the U.S. have some form of liver disease. And if left untreated, some patients may require a transplant. But right now, there aren't enough donors to meet that demand.
Michael Yoshida has more on a new initiative that's aiming to address the shortage and help save lives.
I was literally within a week or two of mortality.
Bill Houston is one of hundreds of thousands of Americans who have had a liver transplant.
But in early 2019 is when the physical symptoms of liver issues started to show up. And it really was a 6 to 8 month process of a rapid decline.
Tens of millions in the U.S. suffer from some form of liver disease, with many not knowing. The disease can be caused by a variety of things, including infections, lifestyle choices such as long-term alcohol use, genetics, and autoimmune disorders.
There are 9,300 people waiting for liver transplants right now. Tragically, 25% of those people are going to die waiting.
To help address the shortage, the American Liver Foundation has launched the Living Donor Network. Most transplants come from those who have passed away, with living donors often knowing the person their liver will go to. But this new initiative creates a database to connect people who wish to donate part of their liver to someone they don't know, with transplant centers nationwide.
Help someone in need, giving this gift of life. It's the first of its kind. It's never been created before.
As for Bill, after decades of suffering from alcohol use disorder that led to his needing a transplant, he's now an advocate, working to help and educate others dealing with substance abuse and the impacts of liver disease.
We're losing too many people. There's no reason not to save all of us.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
Well, there it is, the eye wall nearing closer and closer to Jamaica. Landfall still expected within the next few hours before noon. This thing is an absolute monster. It hasn't weakened whatsoever over the last 12 hours. 175 mile per hour winds, gust over 200. It's now starting to pick up the pace though. We're going to talk about all the big impacts that we have here from Melissa, any secondary impacts across the islands and in the United States, and of course a local forecast. I'll see you soon.
8:20 now. You are streaming live right here on WCNC Plus. We've been tracking and talking all morning about Hurricane Melissa. This is some video from Flatbridge, Jamaica. We've been looking at this all morning long, and you can see it really looks like it's just a river there, just a river, fast moving water. Actually, there's a bridge beneath that water that you see. This again is a live look. Well, we want to show you a timeline. Our team actually went back, so let's take a look. This is last night, 6 o'clock, and you can actually see the bridge there. You see the water going underneath, flowing, not a problem, right? Okay, let's go up. We're going to go to, I think, like 4 a.m. Is that right, Marie? Okay, we're going to go back to the live picture so you can see just the difference there, what it was like at 6 p.m. to, again, what it looks like now. A tremendous amount of rainfall, as you can see, the water just going by. You can't even see the bridge. If you did not know from the earlier pictures, you wouldn't know that there was a bridge there. We've been talking all morning about Jamaica, but Cuba also preparing for Melissa's impact. The country is expected to face catastrophic winds, heavy rain, dangerous storm surges, just like Jamaica. Tractors are moving carts with tanks of drinking water ahead of the storm. Residents have boarded up their windows. They've reinforced roofs, and they've been forced to evacuate from the low-lying areas as the storm closes in. Authorities have activated emergency shelters. They've suspended flights, as you might imagine, and deployed disaster response teams nationwide. We're going to bring Chris in now to add more perspective from this. I know you've been talking about it all morning and just mentioning the dirty side of this storm and the way that Melissa is moving.
Yeah, and the dirty side of the storm, plain and simple, is when it's rotating in a counterclockwise rotation. Whenever you have the forward movement, it's that right side that's always going to be the strongest. What I'm showing you right here is the potential wind field, which, by the way, the tropical storm wind field, and that's what that area of yellow is representing, is actually 250 miles wide. So regardless, all of Jamaica is going to be dealing with tropical storm force winds, and it's a small section that's truly dealing with the hurricane force winds. That's always directly around the center of the storm. So looking at the most recent update, and this dropped really right before the 8 o'clock hour. They often do that a few minutes to several minutes before, sometimes even up to a half hour early. And look at the distance here. We're talking about 28 miles away, moving northeast at about 7 miles per hour. Now, it's at this point an Iowa wall will start to wobble. What's most frightening about this is usually at this point you start to go into the eye wall recirculation, and you have not seen that. It's called the eye wall replacement cycle. You haven't seen that over the last day or so. That eye wall is still staying crystal clear, and that's keeping it perfectly intact. So that 175 mile per hour winds was looking like it could weaken. Nope, it has maintained its strength. It still has a 901 millibar level as far as that, and that's still number 8 of all time. We'll see what the final data is once it comes in, because oftentimes it can be a little bit lower. But we're calling for landfall, which, by the way, landfall has a really specific definition. It's when the intersection of the surface center of a tropical cyclone with a coastline. So it means the center of the eye wall is going to be completely halfway onto land. That's going to be the definition of what a landfall is going to be. So you have to wait for the eye wall that I was just showing you to fully move onto shore. So the length of this is likely going to be right about here. That's where you're going to have that landfall, and it does look like it's still anytime between about 10 to about noon, because this is actively starting to get into its high gear that's really going to be racing its way further off towards the north and east. So here's the way that that looks like for our tropical wind track, still holding on to Category 5 strength across Jamaica. Could make landfall as either a weaker Category 5 or a high-end Category 4 moving through Cuba. That still winds up to about 150 to 140 miles per hour. And then after that, still remaining Category 2 and even near Bermuda, Category 1. Melissa's going to be a monster. Our retired storm for 2025, absolutely epic. Still thoughts and prayers for all those down in the Caribbean. Let's get right over to our morning traffic, who has not been great.
Well, I'll start with the good news. The crash that we had on I-77 near the Brookshire Freeway, that has completely cleared. Don't have to worry about that, but do have to worry about this one if it does pop up. This is I-85 south at Belmont, and it is not showing it, but I promise that 1 to about 2 lanes of traffic are currently blocked off. This is causing a nightmare over towards Gaston County, again impacting the southbound lanes. Delays up to around 3.5 miles. So allow yourself lots of extra time as you hit the road. Last crash to let you know of is Pineville Matthews Road at Elizabeth Lane.
Active rain across the area, even some heavier bands, especially north and northwest of Charlotte. On and off rain expected through this morning, and then we'll start to taper some of this off heading into the afternoon, but still a wet day overall, staying damp. Today's winds also on the gusty side. We could have some gusts over 30 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast and sustained winds up to about 20 miles per hour. So on top of the temperatures being either side of 50 degrees, no sunshine, temperatures barely moving, it's also a breezy day, so the heavier jacket definitely needed for that. And then our 7-day forecast does show that this is the bottom. By tomorrow, we're still staying cloudy, temperatures on and off with more rain heading into the overnight. We should be clearing up for your Thursday. Sunshine returns for your Halloween, staying dry for the first weekend in November on Saturday and Sunday. Let's get right over to Becca, who's had quite the developing traffic situation.
Big problems in Gaston County, where we do still have that active crash on I-85 southbound. This is near Belmont. It is blocking at least one lane of traffic. It's on the very right-hand side of your screen there, and traffic very slow moving because of it. In fact, from the crash site, we have delays extending all the way about 3.5 to up to around 4 miles now. You'll definitely want to avoid that. Take Wilkinson Boulevard as your best workaround. In addition, 77 northbound still gridlocked as usual, but also this crash. Pineville Matthews Road and Elizabeth Lane has an injury incident, delays in all directions.
Streaming live right now at 8:30 right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson. We are following some breaking news right now in Southwest Charlotte. We got some live pictures of the scene. This is over on Windy Gap Road. It's just west of Charlotte Douglas Airport, where we're told a car drove into a ditch near the Catawba River. You can see police tape up right there along those traffic signs. It looks like this all unfolding right there at what appears to be a sharp curve. We have no idea exactly what caused this car to go off the road, but that gives you some indication about the environment where it happened. It's unclear if there were any injuries or what led up to the crash, but again, appears a car went off the road there, Windy Gap Road, West Charlotte, and went down towards the Catawba River. As soon as we learn more about the status of that car and the person driving it, we'll let you know right here on WCNC Plus. And other news we're following right now, unfolding right now. This forum about to get underway. This is for the District 6 seat on Charlotte City Council. This is happening at the Sarah Stevenson Forum, where Republican Krista Bakari and Democrat Kimberly Owens are both set to make their case in front of voters there. This is over just off of Parkwood, going towards Plaza Midwood. that gives you some indication. Folks there gathering, and we expect that this forum will get underway any moment now. Worth noting, though, District 6 for City Council, one of the few, if really only, competitive seats voters are going to be voting on right now as early voting continues, and Election Day next Tuesday. It has been a Republican stronghold. You see it there on the map in South Charlotte and South Park, but has trended more towards Democrats in the last few election cycles, coming within just a few hundred votes. So this perhaps one of the most critical of the city council races that voters are going to be deciding in the next week. We'll go to that as soon as we see more activity and we start hearing from the speakers there. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get over to Chris Mulcahy. He is tracking your weather impact forecast that includes Hurricane Melissa.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely staggering. So check it out. You have this eye wall that's just absolutely monstrous. The fact that it's staying this clear and it hasn't tried to go through its recycling process is just absolutely phenomenal. And what I was looking at was a little bit close to where this potentially could make landfall. So it's right in this little area. This is also known as, I believe, Treasure Beach. And I hate to see it because I was looking at some of the images where there's a lot of different shanties and tiki bars that are right along there. There's one place that was actually called the Magic Tree, where it's a beautiful tree that literally jets out on a little jetty that kind of a natural phenomenon that's one of the biggest pictures that people take in this area. It's heartbreaking because you don't know if it's still going to be there once this moves through. So this is right around Black River. I've been looking at some other locations. So Treasure Beach, as I mentioned, a lot of cute little businesses right along there. And I hope that everyone just evacuates this area. Boatsman Bay, these are the areas that are going to be most impacted a little bit closer to home. As you can actually see, not too far away in here, let me bring up our measurement tool. I'll stop. This thing is really starting to pick up the pace, which means it will be around less often, but yeah, it's right around here, and that's that little inlet that you're seeing there. That is Treasure Beach. They have a lot of different businesses and a little smaller community there. It's now 26 miles away from the worst part of the storm. We were actually bringing this up earlier, so I want to show you exactly what this is. They mentioned the dirty side of the storm. Now, there's not as much of an impact here just because it is moving a little bit slower that you have this, but here's an example of when we say the dirty side of the storm. Say if a storm is 100 miles per hour. Now, of course, this one is a lot more exceptional. The direction that it's traveling, where the wind's moving in a counterclockwise rotation, however fast it's moving gets added on to the wind total. So in this one, it's not as much, but still 7 miles per hour is something extra, and wind damage exponentially increases. So 175 mile per hour winds, the absolute peak is actually going to be in the 180s. And there's another thing that I was mentioning earlier, and this is the thing that's really tragic with this event, and I hate to see it, is this is actually the topography. So I enhanced the topography to show, because there's elevations that range anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 feet. The higher elevations are much further east here in Jamaica. But as you go up into the atmosphere, winds blow faster. That's why it's easy for winds to get above 100 miles per hour on top of Grandfather Mountain, because there's no friction up there. So when we're talking about 175 mile per hour winds, that's at the surface. Realistically, as this eye wall is passing, see the bright white shadings, you could have some of those wind gusts over 200 miles per hour. We know what happened with Helene. All this rain, still up to 15 to 30 inches of rain could fall. Similar range to what we had from Gilbert when it moved through. That means landslides are another big issue. So oftentimes you can go up. That is not a safe place. Really, it's further east, right around Kingston, a little bit better off. But you also have to realize another real popular place, Montego Bay. Even though it is making landfall on the other side, you still have a strong Category 5. Mountains aren't going to do too much. It's moving so fast. Still come out the other side. So this is an absolutely horrid situation for the western side of Jamaica. Next time you hear from me, we'll double check to see if anything's changed, but I'll have your full forecast. It's just absolutely heartbreaking seeing this. So again, thoughts and prayers. I hope a lot of people were able to move if they could get out or move off towards the east, because this is, even though Gilbert was before, this is by far the strongest storm in modern history that Jamaica has ever seen. All right, so we're going to put a weather bookmark here. Let's go over to Becca on an active morning commute. The rain definitely affecting it.
Absolutely. Live look outside from I-85 southbound. This is near Belmont. We had a crash that was blocking 1 to about 2 lanes of traffic, but this has now officially cleared to the shoulder and all lanes of traffic are currently open. But I want to show you what the damage has done, because this is where the crash site was. It's on the shoulder. We have delays extending 4 miles now. Now traffic will start to improve, but Wilkinson Boulevard is going to be your best workaround for this, as this will continue to just be a nightmare situation. Zooming out, still lots of red. We're more red than green out there with this crash northbound South Tryon Street at I-77 that is blocking the right-hand lane there. And then we have another one. This is in the middle of the intersection, Pineville Matthews Road at Elizabeth Lane. Do expect delays in all directions.
8:37 right now. If you've ever been stuck in those long school drop-off lines around Fort Mill, some relief could be on the way. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us live here in studio, breaking down the plan to make those morning commutes a little smoother and a lot safer. Destiny?
After months of traffic troubles and safety concerns, Fort Mill is getting new traffic signals around its schools. It's part of a plan local and state leaders hope will improve safety. The town of Fort Mill is working with the school district, state lawmakers, and SCDOT to address traffic concerns near schools. This comes after a recent state attorney general opinion limited who can direct traffic, making it harder for schools to use their own crossing guards. Now the state has approved a temporary traffic light for 2 years at Catawba Ridge High School and another near Doby's Bridge Elementary. Before school started this year, the district had already warned that new signals could be needed to keep students safe.
Whether that's, having law enforcement direct traffic or additional traffic signal lights, those kinds of things. That's been an ongoing process for over a year now. We have had an accident that involved a traffic guard in the area of Fort Mill Elementary and Middle School. So we had already been petitioning for some of these changes to take place.
The district and town say they'll keep working with state leaders and SCDOT on long-term solutions, including a possible law that would let trained crossing guards direct traffic outside school zones. Ben.
All right, Destiny, thanks. Back to live pictures right now from the Sarah Stevenson Forum happening just east of Uptown, where the 2 District 6 candidates on Charlotte City Council are going to be making their pitch to voters. This is a live look right now as the preparations get underway. Republican Krista Bakari and Democrat Kimberly Owens, both going to be appearing, making their case there. This forum has actually hosted a number of candidates over the last several months that are vying in city council races. District 6 is notable because it covers South Park and parts of South Charlotte, and really is arguably the only competitive seat this year on Charlotte City Council. Most of the other districts are either heavily Democrat or heavily Republican. District 6, however, has been Republican but has trended more Democratic in the last few cycles. Also worth noting that Krista Bakari is the wife of the person who used to hold this seat, Tark Bakari, up until just this last spring when he left for a job in the Trump administration. We are going to keep our eye on this situation, on this forum, and we'll bring it to you live as soon as it gets underway. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus. 8:42 right now on WCNC Plus as we continue to track Hurricane Melissa, about to make landfall sometime later this morning there in Jamaica. And we are learning about people here in the Carolinas who have loved ones there in the storm's path. WCNC Charlotte's Autumn Bracey spoke with a local restaurant owner with family there and a woman from South Carolina now in Jamaica to see how they're bracing for the storm.
As Hurricane Melissa moves closer to Jamaica, there's many people preparing for that landfall, including the owner here of Lawrence Caribbean. He has family there and is waiting to see the impact of it all.
Born in Jamaica, grew up there, migrated to the U.S. when I was 14.
It's been decades since Gavin Lawrence lived in Jamaica, but the impact of a hurricane is something he'll never forget. He says it's concerning to think of the catastrophic damage anticipated ahead of Hurricane Melissa.
This one is going to be a little different because we understand that this is going to be worse, probably worse than Gilbert because of how slow it's moving.
Lawrence's brother John and sister Ivan both still live in Jamaica and are getting ready.
I spoke to them this morning, still calm, but clearly concerned over the next 24 hours. They've boarded up. They have sandbags, doorways, that kind of thing, hoping that that's satisfactory. I know my brother has boarded up his business.
Victoria Samuels used to live in South Carolina, so she's no stranger to hurricanes. Right now, she's preparing for Melissa's landfall.
This is the ocean over here. That's the Caribbean Sea, and as you can see, the storm surge is actually starting to pick up now. There were a bunch of cars out here before.
Samuel says across the island, resources are starting to run out, with many people preparing.
In the supermarkets, the shelves are empty. No bread, barely any water, eggs are all gone. I think people are just now starting to understand that, hey, this is coming, and although it's going to pass through us within a day or so, we can be without stuff for a very long period of time. So that means phone service, electricity, groceries.
Samuel says her windows are boarded up and sandbags are at her doors to prevent flooding. Hunkering down is what she's focused on now.
Just keep us in your prayers and just keep us in your thoughts. I know many of you come here on vacation. Just remember that there are residents here and we're wanting and wishing for your prayers as well.
And Victoria Samuels tells me ahead of the storm, about 800 shelters are being set up to ensure everyone's safety by various nonprofit organizations and government officials. In Charlotte, Autumn Bracey, WCNC Charlotte.
The strongest winds are now 23 miles away from a place called Treasure Beach in Jamaica. We're tracking Melissa. We are now just hours away. Before noon, we're expecting this landfall as the strongest landfalling hurricane in Jamaica history. I'm going to follow its full path, all the areas that it's going to impact, as well as our local forecast.
All right, time now, 8:47 here on WCNC Plus. You are looking at live pictures right now from the Sarah Stevenson Forum happening right now over just about a mile or two east of Uptown in the neighborhood of Belmont. This is a live picture right now of the District 6 Forum. This includes Republican Krista Bakari and Democrat Kimberly Owens making their case in front of some of the voters there. Let's take a listen.
However, I will take a page from one of the at-large candidates who I supported, Namrata Yadav, who spoke very eloquently to the need for additional accountability and wanting to set up dashboards for each of our electeds. Those dashboards did include, from the very simplest, attending meetings and taking votes and being prepared, what committees you're on, a variety of touch points that are eminently verifiable and are kept in records but are not actually disclosed to the people you kind of have to dig for. And so making that sort of accountability more transparent. I would wholeheartedly do that. As far as campaign promises, just in full candor with you, I'm making very few actual promises. I've led a career of 30 years in law, trying my utmost not to overpromise and underperform. I don't know what I'm walking into up there because I have not served yet. My promises are around my own behaviors, and you can know that I will not take lightly conflicts of interest, for example. I will not be buying up large swaths of property along our future transit corridors for future benefit. I will not be investing in single-family homes and then turning those around and renting those at usurious rates. I won't be doing any of that because it's not my true north. My true north is to do what I can in the time that I have to make this city better. And I expect you to hold me accountable. I expect to be up here, not just when I'm seeking re-election, but at other times when this community asks me to be here or wants information on a particular topic that the city council is discussing. So I intend to be available to everyone, and I hope I'm hearing on a routine basis how I'm doing, not just with an annual scorecard.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for those kind words that you said about our group. I'm interested in your opinion on the government shutdown and what you think the Democratic strategy should be.
You flatter me thinking that anyone would care about what I think about Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer's strategy. I have been very clear throughout this campaign that while I am a Democrat, I view local governance as not needing to become embroiled, nor is it a best service to the people to become embroiled in some of the nonsense, quite honestly, that happens both at our state level and at our federal level. I am keen to work across aisles with people, and I have consistently cited President Truman, who said it'd be amazing, it's amazing how much you can get done if you don't care who gets credit. So in a local government sense, I don't care who gets credit. If there are things that Charlotte needs and Phil Berger needs me to give him all the glory for whatever he's been able to do for the great state of Mecklenburg, then I'm inclined to do so because the people need action and they need money. We need resources for the things that we need here. As far as the government shutdown goes, I am very supportive of the efforts that are being made to hold this government accountable. It is a government that is controlled, much like the state of North Carolina's government is controlled by the Republicans. So the fact that we don't have a budget here in North Carolina is equally heavy to me as the fact that we have got a government shutdown. I hate that that is going to hurt people the way that it is. I wish that I had better solutions. I heard many calls today on the news for people to really donate to our food pantries and to be very prepared for November 1st when SNAP benefits are no longer going to be available to families. Having families bear the brunt of hurt because our electeds cannot get along or cannot get out of their own way is very frustrating to me as a citizen. But I do hold true that none of us need to be paying the quadruple rates for our health insurance that are going to happen if we don't hold the line right now and get the Republicans across on that issue. So it is very complicated. As a city council member, I will do what I can to be responsive to the people's needs when the government does shut down as it is right now. Robert Carlin.
All right, you've been listening to a District 6 forum at the Sarah Stevenson forum happening this morning there just east of Uptown. It appears, based on just watching this video, that Krista Bakari, the Republican in the race, is not there right now, but you've been hearing from the Democrat, Kimberly Owens, over the last few minutes as we've been listening in. Let's go ahead and switch gears. Let's get back to your weather impact forecast with Chris. He is tracking Hurricane Melissa just now off the coast of Jamaica.
Just absolutely staggering about how low this low pressure system is. And that means that down to 901 millibars, which, by the way, on average, so general sea level should be around like 1,013, 14. So whenever you have down to 900, this is a top tenor. So right now, the 8th lowest pressure that we've had in Atlantic history, and that includes the Caribbean. As far as our max wind gusts so far, it doesn't really even do it justice. Right now, showing up to about 56 and 59 miles per hour from Montego Bay to Kingston. We don't have a lot of sites right here where we're going to have that active landfall, but it's now within 25 miles. So that means that likely over the next 2 to 3 hours, we're officially going to have that official landfall before noon for Melissa. Now, here's what's happening. We have that active rain across the area, even a heavier downpour here in Lincoln County. This is where we've been dealing with most of the rain. It's clearing out a little bit down towards the south. So these rain rates anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch per hour. So some decent heavier downpours. You need the umbrella. Today's high so far, 51. I thought it was 52. It's only 51 so far for the day. And this would officially put us within the top 3 coldest highs for October 28th. So keep that in mind. That's dating back to 1879. And this is also the coldest day by far that we've had so far this month and this week. After that, we have the mid 50s. On and off rain still possible today, tomorrow, then tomorrow night. Clearing out for your Thursday, sunshine returns for your Halloween, and then heading through the weekend, temperatures in the lower to the mid 60s. Back to normal next Monday, but feeling chilly, especially with those winds. And Becca, your camera's been dancing all over the place.
It has. You know, this camera is frozen, so that's why you can't see a breeze out there. But do want to let you know of just one crash. This is on I-85 southbound at Belmont. It has cleared to the shoulder, but you can see it is still slow moving. And we have delays from the crash site extending 4 miles. Again, on I-85 south. So if you are headed from Mecklenburg inbound into Gaston County, this will impact you. Also seeing lots of red still, 77 northbound over towards South Charlotte. Also the inner loop of I-45 towards Pineville.
All right, Becca, thanks. Live pictures inside our Live Impact studio. Coming up, Julie Kay has continuing coverage. That's coming up at the top of the hour right here on WCNC Plus.
It is a chilly day, right? Well, we hit our high of 51 and we're going to hover around there for the rest of the afternoon. So that's one of the coldest October 28th that we've had in Charlotte history. And Charlotte FC taking on New York City. Temperatures right around where we are right now. It's cloudy, on and off rain. I think the most active part of the day is really the next 4 hours. Once you get to around lunchtime and beyond, less and less rain is going to be on the map. Now, our hour-by-hour forecast by tomorrow, we have some spotty showers to begin the day, but much higher chances of rain heading into the evening and through the overnight. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. We have sunshine returning for Halloween, lower to the mid 60s for the first weekend of November. Enjoy it. Becca, over to you.
Traffic starting to settle down out there. Live look outside for MI-77 at Gold Hill Road, but we still got some problem spots out there, and we're also dealing with wet streets. So Matthews to Uptown will take about 39 minutes, but Salisbury, the highest, will take about 58. Biggest issue is going to be over towards Gaston County. Crash that has moved to the shoulder, I-85 southbound at Belmont. That is causing a stretch of delays about 4 miles. So if you are headed from Mecklenburg inbound into Gaston County, probably want to take Wilkinson Boulevard as your best workaround. Zooming out, still lots of red out there. Allow yourself a lot of extra time as you head out. Still have this crash northbound South Tryon Street at 77, blocking the right lane of traffic.